Most creators think they're personalizing their newsletter emails in Kit, but adding a first name and a tag condition, that's not personalization. Let me show you what real personalization looks like and how my clients are pulling in $10, $20, even $30,000 in a single week because of it. How do I currently get segmentation data to personalize? I will do a deep dive with the client. We'll get on a call. I'll ask them about their segments. Before that, I have a survey asking them about their audience, just capture a lot of raw data from them. Sometimes the client will actually have a deep understanding of who their segments are. For example, a recent client of mine is a human resources consultant and a podcaster in that space. He knows with precision that his two top level segments are the human resources leaders, so people who are employees at companies, and the CHROs, so the chief human resources officers. We're able to break it down into different brackets. The next level HR leader or the next gen HR leader would be at stage A, B, or C, and the CHRO might be X, Y, Z. And so I'm able to draw that out from the client using forms and the deep dive strategy call. And we map that out. From that, I'm able to determine by asking them, what are your offers? Sometimes they have too many offers because they don't have clarity, or they're very clear. They have a course and a service, or a course and a continuity product, or maybe some variation of that. Okay, so which of your segments need which of your offers? Sometimes they're super clear. Other times I'll help them figure that out. And then I'll say, how do each of your segments respond to each of your offers? So you're not going to pitch your course to your CHROs because it's too introductory. Maybe you have a high level service or you do internal conferences at the company. Let's use that example. Internal conferences, you're going to pitch that to the employees way differently than you're going to pitch it to the CHROs. To the CHROs, you're going to say, let me come and talk to your company and we'll do an internal workshop or conference. To the employees, and he has a large amount of these people on his list. So we do a lot of discussion and determining that. And I'll map that all out on paper, just in a doc. And then how do I actually personalize that email content? I used to do it by hand. And so I started writing my own liquid and saving templates essentially and go, okay, this client has this many offers. The web developer and me just saved swipe files of different liquid snippets. And now with the advent of AI, that's been really great. Mixed results. So if I would pop that into, say, Claude or ChatGPT, sometimes it would work, other times not. And so it just made my work difficult because I didn't have a nice standardized process. So I actually built my own internal software to produce a consistent result for me. So let's say I added you here as a client. I can actually just add more information about you, audience segments once we've determined that. And then once I have that in place, I can add products. So let's say you have a course, a software, and a service. And each of those, I can map the messaging to each of the segments. So we can have the generic message, and then we can have the version of pitching it to creators, coaches, and podcasters and store that data. We could do the same thing for software. I can add multiple variants. If I want to pitch your course to, here, let's go back to the future of HR, just as an example. If I were to pitch his accelerator program, I could pitch it in 3 different ways. I'll pitch it, a variation of it for this segment and a variation for this segment. So I can have a lot of fresh messaging. I'll come up with that messaging. I'll write it in their voice. So there is some copywriting and content that's put together and written for them. Sometimes they have it and I'll get them to provide it. Other times I'll do that writing for them. Same with content. I'll put in all their best content. This guy has a podcast. I can personalize how I pitch the podcast to a CHRO versus the next gen HR. I could do that. Go back to you for a sec. So you'd add content, articles. I can add all sorts of things. It'll store that data all in variables. It generates the liquid dynamically based on all of the data I put in here. I'll put it in their email template. I'll custom design their email template. And so they get a nice smart card here, obviously dependent on the user and their offers, their segments. We'll have primary offers, complementary offers, different ways of pitching it. So it's very personalized and human and replicates how you would approach that person. If I'm sending this to you manually, how would I actually present this? What would I show you? What would I occasionally show you otherwise? And how would I present that to you? And so for the Polls. So for example, if we don't know your role, we'll ask for the role. If I know your role, the next question would be, what are your primary struggles? Then what I'll do is I'll capture that data. If I know that, there's some automations that happen in the background in Kit, and I will say, okay, you said that this was your primary struggle. What about this? We might get that data in their newsletters, in their sequences, in broadcasts, in dedicated sequences to ask for more data. Obviously, I add that to snippets. I add that to the personalized email newsletter template that they use for their broadcasts and their newsletters. I'll build out all their automations, sequences, onboarding, welcome flows, email courses, pitches, variations of pitches, evergreen newsletter. I have a whole system and methodology that I install for them. The types of clients I work with are busy creators, coaches, and consultants. Whenever I am talking with someone who's new and they haven't sold their offer, they don't really know their segments, they're usually not ready to work with me. I've tried working with those and sold them lower ticket versions of the service, but they're difficult to work with because they're just not sure and don't see the results. Whereas someone like this HR client I just showed you, I also had one with a large influencer on Instagram. She has a giant audience. I helped get her onto Kit, built out her system, mapped everything out, and she made 40 grand in a week just selling an ebook, which blew her mind. Busy creators who are usually full-time, have an offer, have an audience, have a pretty decent idea of what they're doing, but they're DIYing email marketing, they're DIYing personalization. A lot of people will come to me and go, I have right message and I'm dinking around with it, but I don't know how to get this going and I'm just not sure. So that's usually the types of clients I work with. Building this own internal software, it allows me to do this at a more scalable fashion as well. So if you're a busy creator, coach, or content brand, you've got an audience, real offers, and you're tired of duct taping your email marketing, watch the free training or book a call with me, and I'll show you how we can build the system once and let it print revenue on autopilot.